First of all, if this is the first time for you to learn a program such as Python, C++, Java, MATLAB, the first thing you need to know is to understand how to define the variables and how many kinds of data type that you can use for the definition of your variable. So last time we already learned how to run a Python code in Spyder. You program on the left hand side, and all of the variables that are created from the code will be shown in the right hand side. You can monitor the change of the variables. After you execute the code by clicking the green triangle right here, you will see some message on the command window. Okay? So, today you need to understand in C++, when you define a variable, before you use it, you need to define what kind of variable that the variable type. Okay, so one example is right here. A is an integer, so int represents integer. It cannot have 1.2, 1.3. It can only be integers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 整数. Okay, so before you use this character A as a variable, you have to define, okay, it's an integer. If you want to keep the digits after the points, then you need to define the variable in a different way. There is a variable called a floating number. So the way to define in C++ is to say float space and the name of the variable. After that, you can use it just like you can keep the digits after the points. Okay? But in Python, Python is a code try to run programming more efficient and try to help the user to program more easily. Okay, so at the beginning when Python was created, they don't want you to define the type of variable. You can directly use it. So when you say A equals to 1, Python will make a decision, okay, what is the best variable type for this input? When you say B equals to 1.2345, Python will make a decision. So let's take a look in Spyder. If I just say A equals to 1, B equals to 1.2345, and run the code. And over here you can tell, oh, I want to increase the, Janice, how do I change the font size? Can you remind me where? Yeah. Where is the setting? Oh, preferences. Okay. Okay, thank you. So, over here you can tell, I didn't mention the variable type for A and B. So when I provide information of A equals to 1 to Python, it makes the decision for me. But if I change it to 1.0, if I do that, what will happen? A becomes a float. Because you mentioned a dot, even though the digits after the dot is nothing, it's just 0. But it seems like you want the variable A to have the capacity to keep the numbers after the dot, then Python will make a decision. Okay, probably float is the best variable type for A. So actually, it's easy to program in Python. Okay, and another case for characters. If you want to have a variable that keeps multiple characters, like we call them string. String is a vector of multiple characters. Then in Python, you don't need to do it. You can just you don't need to define it. You just use this quotation note to as a container. So whatever that's inside will be considered as the input for a string. So let's try it. So I just created a variable under the name of teacher, and it's being chosen as a string type. str stands for string, and what's inside is ptl. What if you want to say I am ptl? What if you want to do this? Okay, so you can do it. But can you do this? Let me show you another way. Can you do this kind of way to define a string? Just there are different types of way. The one dot and two dot kind. Can this work? Yes. So Python is pretty smart. It recognizes both styles. So I'm gonna say teacher 1, teacher 2. Oh, by the way, I didn't clear the memory. So if you remove all the variables, then what you have programmed will be cleared. Now I rerun the code again. Teacher 1 PTL, teacher 2 PTL, but you can tell right here, I define the string in two different ways. Two different kinds of notations. But when I want to say this, when I want to inside the string, I want this this notation to for as one of the character. Then the container has to be different. Okay, so this one is like a one dot style. This is like a two dot style. So Python knows these two nodes with the two dot style is like defines the container of these characters, and whatever that's inside is just a part of the content. Okay, so then you can see that one dot is the is one of the characters you use. Okay, what if I use those? What if I mix them? What if I do this? Is it okay if I do this? Then if you do that, you directly see Python cannot recognize well, and you cannot use both styles. So in this case, you have to use the one dot style at the outside and then the two dot style inside if you want this two dot style inside. Okay? Now you know the difference. Okay, back to the PowerPoint. So that's pretty much what I want to say. Yeah, so besides all these kinds of variables, we introduced integer already, and we introduced float already. There's a complex numbers. We don't commonly use complex numbers. In Python, if you have numbers and with a j next to it, j is representing as the complex number so it equals to basically the square root of -1, right? So if you really need to use it, it's using j, not I. String, we already talked about string. Either the 2 dot style or the 1 dot style, okay? Then the other kind is so-called a Boolean variable. Boolean means yes or no, true or false. So let's try this. Okay. In Python, every character is very important when you type. If you just say true without using the capitalized T, it doesn't recognize it. So true with capitalized T is a special word to be used for Python. And you can see in Spider, it will change the color for it. Okay, so false. True or false. They are so-called Boolean variables. Okay? B-O-O-L, Boolean. So later on, when we create some kind of logic, if something is true, we will do something else. If something is false, we will do another thing. So in programming, this kind of a true or false variables are important. Okay? And you can keep multiple things together inside like a vector. Okay, inside a vector. And this is a special kind of variables called tuple. Okay. And we will use those later on. If you want to learn the type of a variable without checking the variable explorer, if you say print type of A, it will show, okay, type A is in the class of float. Okay, print is the method to show something on the screen, right? We did it last time. Last time we said print hello world. And type is a variable, is a function, a method to understand the variable type of one of the variable. Okay? So this is just to show you don't really need to check the variable explorer. You can also use a command to find the class. Okay. So far this should be quite simple. Now we can start to introduce this special variable type called tuple. Okay. So tuple is like a vector. If I use this bracket, okay, then it's being defined as a tuple. Okay, if I change it, so in the line 16, it was 1, 2, and 3. In the line 17, I changed it to character A and 2 and 3. So you can modify what's inside the tuple. Okay. Later on, there are different variables that sometimes you cannot modify it. Let me double check. This is the other kind called list. Let me see. I remember. You also can change it. Tuple is a variable that you cannot. You cannot directly. If you tries to change what's inside the tuple, you can't. So let me show you right here. If I want to, let me run this code again and clear and run. If I right here say, so can you use a command to show something inside the tuple? It's like a vector, right? Now I want to use a print and say E, the variable E, and I'm going to print the first content inside the tuple. In Python or C++, when you count which item inside a vector, you use this this kind of bracket, and it starts with a number 0. In C++ and Python, the counting, the index starts with 0. So if I do this, you can tell right here, it shows 1, because the first content inside tuple E is a value 1. Okay. However, if you want to make a change of the content, if you want to say E and 0 and you want to change a value, if you say 2, it doesn't allow you to change. So tuple is a kind of variable that doesn't allow you to make a change, only if you redefine it. Only if you say, okay, I redefine the function like this, then you can change it. So 1 changes to 2. Okay? So the reason why I don't have here. The reason why it's sorry. Can I? Okay. Sorry. Hello. Can you take the back? Yes. Thank you. Okay. The reason why tuple is being defined in this way is because in Python the data structure is like this. Every time you define something, it's like a container, okay? So back inside the computer, whatever you define, here I define let me just choose a tuple, like what I did, okay? So this is like something you created, and Python will keep it somewhere inside the memory. And you mentioned there's a variable called e. So this is like a variable name. And when you say e equals to a vector with 1, 2, and 3, what Python will do is Python create a kind of pointer. Okay, a kind of pointer. So inside the computer's memory, Python occupies some space to keep the name of this variable. And also some other places inside the memory, it keeps what's inside of your variable. And at another place, Python memorizes this variable e is being appointed to this container. So later on, when you try to evaluate what's inside e, or if you want to print out what's inside e, Python realizes, okay, this is e and this is what's inside. And if you redefine the variable e, like what I did in the second time, when I say 2, 2, and 3. So when I define it for the second time, then this pointer is being destroyed and then reappointed to a new container. Okay? So inside Python's memory, this content inside the container and the other one are being kept at different places. So the more variable you define, the more space Python occupies inside the computer's memory. After a while, when something is not used, Python will delete some of the content you use. Okay? So, for example, when you create this one, and later on you decide, okay, e equals to the second content. So this creation is not used anymore. It will stay inside the memory for a while. In the later on, Python realized, okay, this is no longer useful. So that memory space will be empty, will be cleaned. So Python can reuse that space later on. This is a very unique way to decide how the digital data is being stored inside your memory. For C++, it's a totally different kind of structure. Usually what happens is, inside the memory, maybe there is a space. When you say e equals to, for example, when you say e equals to a value 2, before you do that, you need to say, okay, integer e. This is for C++. You need to claim it's an integer. Why does C++ require you to do this? Because C++ will occupy a space for this variable. So this is the space needed for integer. So inside C++, also the name of the variable is being saved somewhere, and there is a pointer pointing from the variable and then point to this space. But the space is being occupied. You cannot change the variable type later on. You have to define at the beginning and use it. So there are multiple digits inside. the entire space is for integer e. Again, if later on you define another variable, for example, some variable type called double f, f equals to 400, something like this. Then somewhere else, a larger space is being created for double. And that is going to be used for the variable f. So when people try to create Python, they want to make better use of the space. If they have to create in C++, if whenever there's a variable, there's a space being occupied, sometimes you don't need this many digits. Sometimes it's smaller. For example, you may only occupy first three, the last three digits. The other ones are just maybe 0. So those zeros are always there. And in Python's logic, those space are being is wasted. Okay, so Python is being defined and being created as a very small program. So whenever you define a variable, if this variable requires certain amount of memory, okay, Python will choose a space. Okay, here is the content 1, 2, and 3. Okay, later on you create 2, 2, and 3 inside the memory somewhere else. Okay, 2, 2, and 3 being created. Okay, so the memory is only occupied whenever you need it, and the size of the memory that you occupy depends on what kind of variable you choose. So the reason why they define this kind of variable called tuple is because sometimes there is a vector of contents. You may use it for a longer time, for many times, and you may not want this content to be replaced or be modified. So the way they define tuple is that it only occupies certain space. It doesn't occupy more. And there is another kind of way to define vector where you can modify it. So if Python allow you to make changes of the content, then for efficiency, Python will occupy a larger space so that you have opportunity to make changes. Okay? So, like for tuple, maybe it requires 3 small spaces for the value of 1, 2, and 3. And you know they are small numbers. Maybe it only occupies very little digits. So this contain the memory occupants can be very small. Okay? But for the other kind of vector which allows you to make changes, maybe it has to keep a larger space for the value of 1, because later on you may change it, just like C++. If you are allowed to change it, maybe it needs a larger space. So in Python, they design this kind of vector of contents in 2 different ways. One way you can change it, the other way you cannot. So if I remember right, if I say this, so if you use a different way to define the vector, this is called the list. If I remember right, you can change the list. See? Did you tell the difference? Initially, I defined E and F as a vector of 1, 2, and 3. But I define them in a different way. This rounded bracket is for tuple. The squared bracket is for list. Tuple occupy much smaller memory inside computer, but you cannot change it easily. If you really want to change what's inside, you need to redefine a new content. You have to directly say, okay, E equals to 2, 2, and 3. Then it's possible. But you cannot just change the content by E, for example, first one equals to 1. You cannot change it like that. Tuple doesn't allow you to change the content. But for list, you can. So list is a kind of variable for you to create if you plans to make changes. Okay? So get back to our slide. Let's see. Over here, tuple, okay. Using this squared bracket to identify which one of it. So for Python, nowadays most of the programming is so-called the object-oriented programming. So let me bring this. Object-oriented programming. So that's okay. No big deal. Oh, thank you. So if I have a variable, I was using E. So E is a tuple, right? This is a tuple. And so over here you can do some counting. So let me test it. If I okay, just to test. Okay, there is a method called count. Okay, if you want to do something with this variable in object-oriented programming, sometimes you can use it like this way. You put a dot. So when I say object-oriented programming, the style of this kind of programming is that you have something in the front, you have a dot next to it, and you say something in the back. Over here, we are using something called count, and I am putting something right here. I'm just giving a number. Okay? So what does this mean? Capital E dot count bracket a value of 2. So this is a tuple, and the dots represent object-oriented programming. So which means you want to do something that is related to a tuple. So count is a method or it's a function that could be used behind tuple. So the bracket next to it basically is the input for the method or the function. So whenever you are applying input to a function, you always use the rounded bracket. Okay? So over here, when you see this bracket, this is different from the container of the tuple. So over here, even though also the rounded bracket, but this is like the boundary of a tuple, okay, of the container. But over here, the rounded bracket represent what's going to be applied to the method. Okay, so you need to get used to how you program. So over here, if you see a tuple and dot count input a value of 2, that means you want to count how many value of 2 are there inside this tuple. Just counting how many. So earlier, when I was testing it, let me clear the memory, and I just use. I can keep everything. That's fine. I'm gonna use 2, 2, and 3, and over here I'm gonna say print. Yes. Plus. Oh yes. Okay. So number of 2 is, now I'm doing counting of not counting, e dot count of 2. Okay. Number of 2 in in E is how many? Okay, so if I do this, I need to make it like a string. Otherwise, it doesn't plus. Okay. What happened? So I just show you a simple integration of different codes. E dot count bracket 2 provides an output of 2, because inside the tuple there are 2 2's, right? So if I count, the answer will be a value of 2. And for Python, if you want to print a series of characters, you can use, first, this is a string, right? And plus another string. But earlier, over here, the response was just a value. You need to convert that value into a string. Okay? So that's why earlier it was there's an error. But if I convert it into a string, then the response is a character. So this can be summed up with the other result right here. Okay? If you feel like, okay, hold on, this is too quick. Can you show it slowly? Maybe I can show you a different way to do the exact same thing. I can say e count 2 equals to e dot count 2. Okay? So I just define a new variable called the e count 2. So e count 2 is an integer. So I want to print out a string like this with the answer at the end. So print result equals to, I want to print this. But I want to have some answer in the back. So I use plus. Plus allows you to plus multiple strings. Here I need to convert ecount2 from integer to string. Okay? So if I do that, there's something called print result. That's what I want to print. And I want to print it on the command window. That's why I can say print right here. Okay. So you can see the result right here. So if you want to do it slowly, step by step, this is how you can do it. Or you just know you can just convert them into just one line. It's totally fine. Okay? So I'm gonna give you some time to practice. So please try to define, let me show you. Please try, just follow me. Try to define an integer. Try to define a floating number. Try to define a boolean. One is true, the other is false. Try to define a tuple. And then try to print out one of the content inside the tuple. Try to define a list. And then try to count how many constant, how many something inside the tuple. And you can do it in one line or you can do it in multiple lines. So let's practice this. Okay, I will give the control back to you. Please help me. And if you want to follow what I have done, you can take a look at the screen right here. So let's practice this. If your computer is not turned on yet, you need to go to the Windows 10-2, I think. Right? Windows 10-2. So if you go to Windows 10-2, you can find Spider easily. If you are using your own computer, that's totally fine. If you try to program this on Colab, that's also fine. But I think it's more convenient if you use Spider. Windows 10, Windows 11-2. Windows 11-2. That one has Spider. Windows 11-2. I will give you 5 minutes. If you have questions, you can raise your hand, so TA will come close and help you. Okay, so try to get a feeling of the difference between tuple and list. Okay, tuple you can change it, list you cannot. So to be honest, for us in when we do research, sometimes we find the tuple hard to use because you cannot modify it. So we just use list. But it will occupy a larger space in the memory. Okay? Try these. And also try to use the object-oriented programming. Try to get a feeling how you can do some counting inside for a tuple. Don't be afraid to try different things. Try to program on the left-hand side. It's like a script. We can try to program inside the script. Try to do something in the command window. Because later on, when you do project, you need to fully understand how to use the Spider platform. So try different things. It's very common if you see an error. So you need to know, whenever you see an error, you need to be able to recognize what was the mistake, and then figure out how to correct the mistake. By the way, I want to comment on one thing. There is also a huge difference between C++ and Python. For C++, when you say x equals to 1, at the end you need to use a semicolon to show the ending. So this is for C++. Okay? But for Python, you don't need it. You don't need to do anything, nothing. Yeah. Okay? If you are in MATLAB, you can do both. But what's the difference? In MATLAB, if you do show nothing right here, the results shown on the screen. And if you have semicolon, then show no results. Okay? So for MATLAB, you can do both. The only difference is that if you want to show the result of that command on the screen. For C++, you must have it. For Python, you don't. You don't need. So in my coding, you don't see any semicolon at the end. Okay? Just for you to know. Okay, we can turn off the front light. I'll give you 2 more minutes. And I need to move on. Okay, so I think that should be enough. If you are not finished, that's okay. This is just a practice. Now get back to, we already did this, okay. We did this already. So, it's okay. And in the front of the screen, I'm going to introduce the next variable, which is the list. But we already covered tuple. So list is, the only difference is that you define a list by the squared bracket. The square bracket. And for list, you can modify the content. Okay? That's the difference. Now, I want to show you. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I want to let them practice. I want to show you some functions that you can use with list. Okay? I didn't put the screen on your monitor because I want you to practice. But here I want to show you what you can do with list. If you are interested, you can pay attention to the front. Okay? So something is called append. Append is like adding one more thing or adding something to the list. Okay? Insert is like adding something but applied to certain location, certain spot. Let me show you the difference. Append and insert. So right now I already have a list 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do this at the bottom. So I'm going to say f dot append, and I'm going to say 4. After I do that, my f becomes 1, 2, and 4. Whatever you append will be added at the back. Okay? And if I say f dot insert, and if I say position 1 and some value 0, let's see what happens. Position 1 is not the first location, it's the second location. Because the first location is index 0. So if I say index 1, something will be inserted to the second spot. And whatever I want to insert is a value 0. Okay? So try those two. We already defined a list. It was 1, 2, and 3. Try to append something and try to insert something. And also try to append something in a different style. For example, a text, a string. You can see a list is a kind of container that can contain multiple type of content. The first 5 items are just values. They are integers. The last one is a string. It's okay to do that for a list. Please now practice those. Okay. So try the list variable and now try the functions of append and insert. F is a variable in the style of list. List has special functions such as append and insert. How come tuple doesn't have it? Because tuple is a variable that cannot be modified. So for tuple, you don't append, you don't insert. Append or insert will modify it. Okay? So if I try to say E dot append, it doesn't allow me to do it. E dot append. There's no, it doesn't, E is a variable of tuple. E doesn't allow me to append a new content. For example, if I do this, it will show error. Tuple doesn't allow you to do append because adding something to a tuple is not possible. Tuple cannot be modified. Okay? So over here, I'm gonna say not possible for tuple. I should say this. Okay? So please now try to create a list. Try the function of append, insert. Try to even insert something in a different style. Can you create a list that has multiple types of content? Some numbers, some string inside the list. Try those. Do you want to see this on your screen? I think you are fine, right? Because someone is typing. Yeah. If you need this, you can take a picture. If you have questions, you can raise your hand. If you're done, you can relax. And your neighbor is your teammate. Try to know your teammate and try to work together if you have questions. Later on, you guys are in the same team, same group. I will give you some time. Okay, so I hope your trials were successful. I can continue, you can keep on trying, but I will be continuing. Okay, so for append and insert, you can put something inside the list. How about pop? Pop is like a way to remove something. So why the word pop? So in English, pop is like an explosion. So exploding is like a removing. So you can use remove or pop. So what's inside remove or pop is the index. So if you say a list dot remove bracket 0, that means the first content will be removed. Or pop bracket 0 remove. Okay? We already talked about count. Same as what you did for tuple. What's interesting is that you can do sort. So if whatever inside your list can be sorted, sort help you to do sorting. Okay? And the default, for example, you want to sort numbers from small to large. If you change the way you want to sort, you want to reverse the way to large to small, you can use reverse. Let's see by default which one is which. So let's try pop, count, sort. So before I do that, I want to add more. I want to append some 3s. One more 3. And I want to do pop, the first one. I want to remove the first one again. And then I want to say sort with no input. Do that. Because of the tip. So if I want to do nothing here. I want to, instead of 0, the fourth one. Okay. Remove the fourth one. Okay, and then f dot sort. Okay, let's do that. Oh, I removed the wrong one. The third one. Maybe? No. Fifth one. Oh, hold on. Let me see. Which one? The fourth one, right? Yeah. Okay, let me try this. Okay. There's a difference. Pop and remove is different. So let me. Okay. So pop, remove. the component at index 0. Okay? So let me print f. Okay? Before I remove, let me print f. So let's do this. Okay? So earlier, before I pop, the result is 1, 0, 2, 3, 4, and 10 and 3. After I pop the index 0, the number 1 disappeared. And then if I say f remove, and now I say 3. This is not removing the content at index 3. That is actually remove all 3's. Remove all 3's. So if you do that, let's see. Not all 3, just one. Hold on. Earlier it was successful. Let me see. Remove the first one of that value. Okay, so let me. Yeah. Remove the first, not all of them. The first 3. Okay. Yeah. So earlier, before remove 3, 3 is located at index 2. But if I say remove 3, the first 3 will be removed. Okay. Now I want to remove 10. And then I want to do sort. I can directly. F dot. Let's try this. Print f dot sort. Print. I should say f sort first, and then print f. Okay, do it again. So after removing 10, the order will be 0, 2, 4, 3. Now after sort, it's small to large, 0, 2, 3, 4. If I sort again, but this time inside a method, sometimes you can change the setting. There is a feature called reverse. It's a Boolean type. It's by default, usually it doesn't reverse, right? So if you say reverse and say true, Boolean type, right? So that means, yes, I want to reversely sort the result. Then I want to print f again. You will see earlier it was small to large. Now it's large to small. Okay? I will show you, and maybe you can take a picture. Try this. Do you see the screen? Okay, just give me 1 minute. So let me just explain again. If you append 3, now I have a list. So at the back, I have one more 3 here. This is because I append a 3. Now I pop 0. That means I delete the content at index 0. Then I say remove 3. Remove will, the first 3 will be removed. So the first 3 is located at index 2, 0, 1, 2, but it was removed. So 3 was removed. After that, I also removed Tim. So this is at the first removal. After removal, after I remove Tim, I have 0, 2, 4, and 3. Then I do sort. By default, sort is small to large. Then I say F sort and reverse turns on. Turns on the feature reverse. Then it's large to small. Okay, so you can, maybe if you want, you can take a picture. I will give the screen back to you. Okay, I'll give you 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so please practice those. Okay, practice those. Practice in your own way.
哦，你说不是我们班，一直 CC，不是我们。
对，没有啊，刚刚我
哦，OK，谢谢。
Okay, I hope you have practiced. Now we only have 2 more, and we will have a homework. So after sorting, you can also do something called reverse. Reverse means you can directly reverse the order inside the list. Okay? And you can also copy. I'm not sure which one copy is for what. Let me try it. So now I'm going to test reversed. So if I append another content, for example, a number of 5, and then I say F reverse. Then I print the result. You can see after appending 5, earlier for my list, it was 4320. After appending, it will be 4320 and 5. After reverse, the order was completely reversed. But it turns out the F becomes 5, 0, 2, 3, and 4. Now I want to play with copy. Copy is for what? Return a shadow copy of this list. Oh. This? Janice, do you know why people use copy?
为什么卡？为什么要卡？
哦，就是有时候就是，
会这样子。
哦，就是他拍成别人的菜。
不吗？
Okay, I'm curious why Python create copy for list. Okay. Let's try this. Yes. Aha, okay. This is good stuff. Okay. Aha, okay. Very nice. This is, I think, is a very important feature I should let you know. So let's print. Let me see. Print equals to plus string and print equals to plus string. Okay. And hold on. For this. And then okay, so very important feature I didn't tell you yet. So I want to show you on your screen. So give me 1 minute to explain this properly. Okay, so what happened? I'm going to use debug mode. Otherwise, you may not see what happens. So, also, I want to use this opportunity to show you how to debug. You can move your cursor to somewhere next to the one of the line number. You will sometimes see a red dot. If you click it, you will see, okay, what is that? It's a breaking point. So in the debugging mode, you can run the code and then stop at the breaking point. So the green button to run the code will run the code without stopping. But if you use the blue one, it's the debugging mode. If you click it, and then let's see, just forget how to continue. Oh, how do I do? Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's try again. What is that? Okay, for some reason, we're not able to debug. Okay, so never mind, no debugging. Okay, so let's just directly run the code. I'm going to explain from here. Okay, after you append 5 and reverse, so at this moment at line 37, F was 50234. And I use a line, I call it's a G equals to F. So now G is also F. They have the same content. So if I print both F and G, you will see they are the same. Okay? And now what's interesting is that if I change the content of F and you print again, you realize the first component inside F was changed. Also, G was changed. What's going on? So this was mainly because of the special feature of Python. Like I said earlier, when we have a container of variable, and when we say, okay, F u equals to this container, and if later on you say G equals to F, what happened was you define a new variable and also point it to the same container. And this container now is a list. Okay, this is a list. It's a vector that allows you to modify its content. It's a list, right? And if you one day say F0 equals to 0, when you do that, that will change the 1 to 0. But when you do that, it doesn't change the pointer. F was pointed to this new vector. G was also pointed to the same one. That's why right here, when you say F0 equals to 4 and you print F and G, the first component of F and also first component of G were modified at the same time. But actually it's not because of modification at the same time. It's actually because the same there's only one container. And F and G were the two variables being pointed to the container. Whoever changed what's inside the container, if you say F0 equals to 4 or G0 equals to 4, both actions will change what's inside the container. That affects whatever is being pointed to the container. But later on, if you say H equals to F dot copy. So dot copy is a method for you to create a new copy. This is a new container, even though this new container contains the exact same thing. After that, I use F equals to 0, F0 equals to 6 again. You will see, H, something was wrong. H should be 4, H is here. Here. Here, this one should be H. Okay. So, after I make a direct copy of F, so now H equals to F, but there are two different containers. So after this copy, even I change the content of F, it doesn't affect H. Okay? So the action was when you create a list and you say F equals to the list, this is a list, and when you say G equals to F, G was pointed to F as well, and you say H equals to F dot copy, when that happens, there's a new container being created with same components inside, and then H was pointed to the new container. So if you change F or G, that doesn't affect H. Okay, so be very careful when you use list, because list allows you to make changes, but the way Python defines the containers and the variable names is based on this kind of concept. There's a name of the variable and it's pointing to a container. And when you have something being the same with each other, you need to understand sometimes two variables are pointed to the same thing. So if that container has a change, both variable changes. Okay, so be very careful. That's why for list, they create this kind of variable, this function, copy. The copy is to allow you to make a direct copy, but won't be affected in the future. Okay? So that's everything I want to cover for today. Now we can do a homework. Okay. What's the homework? There are 8 kinds of fruit, apple and pear. Create a list, put all of it in the list. What's the third one? Print on the screen. Change the first fruit to the watermelon. Insert strawberries. Do this whole thing. Okay? This is your homework. Right now. Do all these. And then when you are done, raise your hand. Show the TA. When you are done, you can go. Right? Vera. That's everything for today, right? Okay, so very easy. This is your homework. I will give you your screen. Do this. When you're done, maybe 5 minutes later, you can go. Let me show this to everyone. You can take a picture of your screen. I'll give you 10 seconds to take a picture. Or you can go to the Facebook. This is your homework. Complete this right now. Raise your hand, then you can go. After the TA checks. Okay? Complete this, then you can go. So that's it for me today. Any questions for me? Today should be really simple, right? When you go home, practice couple and list. And do this right now. That's it for me today. If you have any questions, if you're done, raise your hand. TA will help you.